See, when you say hot diggity dog, I just think of Negan from The Walking Dead.
I want to get a cold one to crack open.
Yeah.
Hot diggity dog.
Yeah, and then it like zooms out. Oh my god, I'll never forget that. I was like, is this a comedy? Is this show a comedy? Why are they filming it like this?
I don't even know anything about Negan. Does he become like the new main character of that show?
It's because Jeffrey Dean Morgan or whatever was like Dilfy, so like they toned down his character a bunch. Minus him hitting Steven Yeun in the head with a bat.
All right, I've shifted into beer mode.
Okay, excellent.
I'll crack it on the podcast.
Like an anti-hero character.
Yeah, even though he did incredible murder.
Oh, he did incredible. Didn't he stick somebody in like a furnace?
I don't know. I mean, Rick. The thing is, there's Negan from The Walking Dead, like the TV show, not the comic.
Did he murder with Riz though?
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
Yeah,
that all is forgiven.
Yeah,
the actor did too good of a performance playing a psychopath, and the psychopaths of America were like, "Holy, this is the coolest guy ever."
The thirst for him was unreal.
I mean, I've seen him in Tekken. I know he kind of hot.
Yeah. Do you see this has to go on the podcast?
Yeah, you definitely got to keep it.
I'll find a place in there.
Yeah.
I'll shove it in.
Are we ready? Hi, everybody, and welcome to Burnout Culture. The industry sucks. Like, it really, really, really sucks. And so do we. But like not as bad as the industry. My name is Kazuma Hashimoto. I'm one of 3 hosts.
I'm GC. How's it going?
I'm Cullen the Interrupter. Wait, I didn't interrupt you. GC, say it again.
I'm GC. How's it going?
Interrupting.
The Interrupter.
The Interrupter. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Burnout Podcast of Culture. We're here to talk about the unemployment epidemic and why it's ruining game journalism in more ways than you might think.
I love that we're just like getting the shit like we're just doing it right off the bat.
Gotta get it out. So the duality exists in our terrible world. 2 things can be true at the same time. On one hand, it is genuinely horrible how many people have been laid off in the games industry in both like the actual like development side and the journalism side. And on the other end, it is also true that some people go online in the game journalism space and be posting with unemployed energy like crazy. Kazuma and I were sorry, go.
A friend of mine lovingly called this March specifically. Hang on, January, March, April, May. Called this May is it March, April, May? It's May, right?
We are in May. Yes. We are unfortunately,
May.
We are in the worst month of the year. May.
Oh yes, because my friend called it Meltdown May.
Yes.
Because that's basically what's happening on social media.
It's about to be Jubilee June, but right now we're Meltdown May.
Yeah, and I have seen a lot of people melting down. Like, if you think this is about you, whatever.
Sure,
like,
wink, wink.
It's not, but I have seen a lot of things, mostly to my like Discover tab because I forget that exists, and I'm like, who are these random people I don't follow on my feed? And I was like, oh, I'm in the Discover tab on accident. Someone's losing their marbles, but
every time I load up Blue Sky and I go, why is my feed terrible? And I'm like, oh wait, I'm not unfollowing. Let me fix that.
Oh my god. But yeah, there is a lot of energy being brought to the conversation right now. And I forgot who said it on Blue Sky. Whoever said it, if you listen to this, shout out to you. That there is a lot of division in games media right now among outlets when we should really all just be working together instead of trying to tear each other down.
You were telling me about this, like
yes.
You were talking to me about how like all these like sites are beefing, and in my mind, I get it in a way it is a bit simplistic and cringe, but I was just thinking, why can't we all just get along? They're video games.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, right? Like games journalism is literally evaporating before our eyes. This morning, Ziff Davis basically had a lot of websites basically slash their freelancer budgets and let their freelancers go. I was part of the gamers layoff. I got let go when I was on vacation. Really fucking sucked. And I was even approached by Valnet to work for Polygon, like as it is now, right? And I declined. So like there are not a lot of people working for outlets anymore. So thankfully, a lot of people actually have made their own independent sites. There are quite a lot now. Skybox is one of them. I think Restart is one as well. And they all have really good criticism. I just really love seeing. Wait, is Restart the Walmart one?
Oh, what?
Walmart.
Oh, yeah, they
started
did
a
make
game
theirs.
journalism site.
I'll be real. I can't keep up with them anymore. It's one of those many things I've had to like kind of section off in my brain as I've gotten older of just like, I'm real proud of y'all. I can't keep up with that though.
This is going to be really ironic in like a month, by the way.
It'll be hilariously ironic.
Yeah, it'll be really fucking ironic in like a month.
I'm stepping on the biggest rake of my entire life
yeah.
right now.
So thankfully, like a lot of independent sites have popped up. You know, we have Aftermath is like a really, really big one because there are a lot of very prominent game journalists working there. You have Skybox, you have But Why Though, that's existed for like almost a decade, and other sites that are like a lot older, right? And again, like I think I have like baby brain, Cullen, like you, where I'm just like, I think everybody should get along because we're all trying to do the same thing. And
none of us are paid
like
well and everything's against us.
And we're not working in a
access.
corporation, right? Like we're not trying to get each other's jobs.
I also think it's kind of silly to create a hostile competitive environment when, you know, the entire reason that a lot of these sites have been made is because of as a result of a hostile competitive environment.
Exactly. And I can say this from experience when I was working in PR and actually having friends that I talk to that are in PR at various agencies. Trust me, they are not hurting. They are hurting. They are in fact hurting for media to invite to events because everybody's gone. I'm working on a game right now and helping with some stuff and making a media list. And that media list has shrunk significantly. Like we can't find enough people to invite to this event because everyone's gone. Like either they've left the industry or they're freelancing and they can't find a place to put writing. So we can't invite them, right?
Yeah,
like,
because
like all
there's no
these
guarantee
places
of coverage.
Exactly. So all these places existing is good. It's really, 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 really good, actually. And there's room for everybody. Trust me, there is room for everybody. I don't want to get into the specifics of like whatever was going on with Waypoint. If anybody wants to know, they can look that shit up themselves. That is a rabbit hole that I don't want to stick my hand into because I feel like there's like a bear trap in it, you know?
It's good to sometimes not put your hand in holes. James
Exactly,
Sunderland
James
was
Sunderland.
always doing that, and that he killed his wife. So, like, do you want to kill your wife?
That's wife murder behavior.
Do you want to do that? Like, I know that, like, I get whimsy and curiosity, but, like, you know, I'm going to say this bit because I think this is, like, part of the same kind of behavior. You don't got to comment on everything. Like,
no, you can literally log off. Like, if you feel like something is riling you up, just stop. Like go read a book or watch a movie or like listen to an album, right? Because like if you're getting like a visceral reaction out of like someone else's success, like stop. Like literally fucking stop.
When I get mad, I rewatch all of Tenchi Universe and then I'm less mad.
What were you saying, GC?
So I've actually been out of the loop on most of this. I know the big layoffs in the media stuff. I know about that. I don't know about any of that Waypoint stuff. I saw like one post.
It's a fucking trip.
I saw one post on social media talking about it, and I read through the thread, and even after reading through the thread, I had no grasp on what it was about.
Yeah.
So
we're back on 2018 Twitter, baby.
I was like,
it feels like nonsense.
idea what this is about. So I just did the thing that I usually, I know this is rich coming from GC Tangents Vasquez, but there is in fact stuff that I see on the internet where like I do have a care about it, but I don't feel strong enough to make a statement because other people are making it for me.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so I'm just like,
yeah, there's stuff where it's just like, you don't need me to be like, wow, guys, I've got to talk about this. I've got to have
I don't
the
have
take.
input. Yeah. I
Yeah,
just
it's
don't
like
have like
some-
input. I don't have insight or anything that like I feel isn't already being said.
I feel like if
Exactly.
your response to a piece of news really just boils down to, damn, that's crazy, you don't need to post it.
Exactly.
Like you can. It is your God-given right to do that. You can be an annoying poster, but like at the same time, I went out for a run yesterday at the park. It was so nice. Outside is good.
I think it's okay to like share stuff when it's going
for
on and
sure.
stuff, but I also think it's like,
Yeah.
I think it's like also very important to like share stuff that actually gets information across so that people like have context for what's being said. A lot of times I
Things
always
that have
see,
sources
yeah,
instead of
because
just like
The initial
vague
source, not the guy
suggestions.
being like, whoa.
yeah, because like you know like if I'm gonna post something, usually when I repost stuff, it's usually something that's like tied to an article or something. Because I'm just like, or someone is just making an obvious, like they are literally just talking about their opinion about something. It's not like a situation TM, right? Like it's just like a general opinion that they had, like, and it's like you can just repost those. You don't actually have to like add anything to it. You don't have to like, I don't know, like this just lets other people aware of this thing going on, right? Like that's fine. I think that's okay. I just think like if you have input on something every time something happens, I come it's sort of like the same thing with like what they tell people about sponsorship deals, where it's like if you take every sponsorship deal you ever get, your credibility as a like sponsored entity becomes cheaper. Like your price goes lower because you're just putting your name on everything and anything, right? So I feel like that's the same way when it comes to like talking about things, is like if you are having original opinions about things and you want to post that, that's fine. But like if anytime something happens, you seem to have like this very like intense, passionate take on it, I start to believe it less and less because you do it so often that it starts to feel performative. And that's like
Then it
how
becomes
I feel
me,
about it.
me.
Yeah, it becomes more about your cult of personality than it is about like what's actually going on. And also like, you know, the way you word things is also important. And yeah. But yeah, I'm really glad that there's more independent outlets. I'm very happy about
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. And at some point, they're going to have to invite all those people to media tours. They're going to
Yes.
have to. So,
You're watching the reshuffling of the games media.
Media, invite us. I mean, press, invite us to stuff. We'll go to it. We'll eat the free food. We'll drink the free drink.
Yeah. Honestly,
take
the
the
food
free
at the
hotel.
Armored Core event was great, other than me getting heat exhaustion. Shout out to Bandai Namco for having somebody literally run to CVS and get me like painkillers and water and shit, so I
Not
wouldn't die
often
in
you
an
get to
airplane hangar.
say the
Thoughtful stuff.
phrase shout out to Bandai Namco, but that is for a really good reason.
I mean, did I tell you guys about that Armored Core event at all?
Are you allowed to on this?
I know.
recorded
Oh, yeah, I
space?
totally can. Yeah, I totally can. It's so far out now. Basically, they held an Armored Core 6 Fire. Yeah, Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon event in California, but it was in an airplane hangar with no working air condition, and the PCs kept overheating.
That goes really hard, like
yes.
conceptually, but maybe not too well thought out. I've been to
They
California.
also had a mech there.
Oh, well, now it's warranted.
I got to live
Yeah.
the real Armored Core pilot experience at my preview event.
Well, yeah, I was dying. Like, I was literally like, they were like, oh, you don't look well. And I was like, I think I'm going to throw up. I think I have heat exhaustion. And they were like, we're going to go to CVS. There's a air conditioned room back there. Please just sit and drink some water. And they ended up getting me like pain pills and everything.
Sick.
And very,
Lovely.
very kind. All of the people that represent Bandai Namco, at least like media side or press side, media side, are all very, very, very kind. They're all very nice people. So.
Hi,
Lovely.
Bandai. I really like when you put me on a boat and I got to meet Kazuma, but also I got a bunch of really good chicken.
Hey Bandai, do you want a One Piece shill to show up to your events and like play your One Piece game and probably have a positive take on One Piece games? It's me.
I don't think they're. When's the last time they made a One Piece game? The one we played?
They make them. They make them
yeah,
once
the
in a
one we
while. They make them once in a while.
Did you know that same boat had the Assassin's Creed Black Flag party on it, and Henry Cavill was there, and he was wasted?
That makes sense. He seems like he would
Yeah.
get wasted on a boat. Because I mean, no relation to him, but like it's
You
something
also got wasted on the
I
boat.
also got wasted on a boat. But because
You and
I'm
Henry
like,
Cavill have more in common than other people.
I know, like I got drunk on the same boat that Henry Cavill got drunk on, but I bet Henry Cavill didn't also immediately go back to drinking on like at a hotel bar nearby.
I bet
It
he
sounds
did.
pathetic, but like it's actually like really cool. Trust me.
I actually am willing to bet that he did in fact go drinking after his party somewhere else.
Yeah, but not at that bar.
You never know. You could have even more in common with Henry Cavill than you thought.
I've also built a computer and wear tank tops, so like, you know, we're basically the same guy.
Yeah, I also look just like him too, so you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm big
People
strong.
who don't know what I look like they'd be surprised. They look at me and they're like, "Holy shit, he's yoked."
Henry Cavill, I
Can't wait
thought
to
you
see
had hair.
DC. Oh my
I
god.
shaved it for a role.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna be Lex Luthor.
Wow, and I'm also gonna be Superman.
And I'm gonna be Superman. They're gonna digitize my hair.
But yeah, that's our very, I think, hard opener. I think the rest of it's going to be pretty soft from here on out.
I'm feeling
No
pretty
one make
soft.
any comments about that ever.
I'm feeling pretty soft now, so it all works.
Hard opens are the only things I know. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to hop into what I've been playing because it's pretty quick and it's very simple.
Cool.
I've been playing Diablo 4 again. New season came out and they have a Berserk collaboration going on. And honestly, Diablo 4 as a game is in like a really good state right now in terms of builds. I'm playing a Dance of Knives or Dance of Blades. I don't fucking know the skill. All I know is that I hold my left mouse button down and drag it over the screen, and I'm shooting knives everywhere. Knives that when they hit enemies, they also explode into other knives.
Oh yeah.
So I'm a whirlwind of death. The Berserk collaboration is a bunch of nothing. You just kill enemies and pick up baylets and get like the brand of the Mark of Sacrifice tattoo and like the fucking Mark of Sacrifice, like little death, whatever, like little sigil.
Yeah, the flayed man.
And die. Yeah. But Diablo 4 doesn't have as cool of a fucking crossover as Diablo Immortal does. You get to fight Zod in Diablo Immortal.
What the hell?
Yeah, but
Like
in Diablo 4,
Superman
it's just-
villain Zod?
No, I'm talking about
I
Zod
also
from
thought about
Berserk.
Superman.
Sorry.
I'm gonna kill you both. We're gonna meet in person, and I'm gonna like.
You'll forget by
I'm
then.
gonna like. No, I won't. I'll never forget.
Oh, Nosferatu Zod.
Yeah, Nosferatu Zod.
Oh, he
but,
looks cool as fuck. I haven't read Berserk, so I didn't know what he looked like.
He's the first boss you fight in Dark Souls, basically. Like straight up. They just took that design.
This guy looks dope.
But yeah.
Oh, this guy sucks.
So
I've seen enough
Yeah.
Berserk to know this guy sucks.
yeah. But I think it really sucks that like the mobile game gets like the most interesting crossover stuff, and we get like here are two armors inspired by guts that are locked to individual classes. One armor inspired by Griffith and one by Skull Knight, and nothing for Costco whatsoever. And I hate that. I know how these collaborations go down, so I can't like I just can kick rocks about it, and that's about it. But yeah, it's fine. But Diablo 4, super super fun. For the first time, I think in like 2 seasons, I'm the friend that's carrying my other friends. So it just feels super good. It's very satisfying to play the game and just watch everything explode. Diablo does it so well. I don't think there's any other game that does it well that's on the market right now. Path of Exile 2 is in like a bad spot because the way they're balancing it isn't great, and Last Epoch is just fine. But yeah, I played Diablo 4, and I'd love to drag you into it, Cullen, at some point, so you can see so many knives.
Well, I'm glad we all owned it before like the BDS
The BDS thing, yeah.
So it's like I got that there. I can play that whenever I want.
Hell yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm never going to be done playing 100 lines, so
Oh.
it's quite sad.
Oh.
Mm.
Oh.
Mm. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't play video games anymore, honestly. I play Marvel Rivals again, and I like play Emma Frost, and there's nothing really spectacular other than I choke slam somebody and then kick them off the map. But that's just Marvel Rivals.
The Marvel Rivals fall off was pretty hard for me. I can't speak for anyone else's experience, but like I stopped playing. Like I had to uninstall it for a bit to play another game, and then I never thought about installing it ever again.
I'm only playing it because I had like a sort of like I'm suddenly interested in everything Marvel right now, and I know in like a week that's gonna pass. So
As it always does.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Did you go see Thunderbolts?
Me?
Yeah.
No, but Matthew did. So a friend of ours saw Thunderbolts, and he said that he thought I would like it. One of my mentors, former mentor at Ubisoft, saw it and thought I would like it, which means I'll either think it's okay or I'll be quite indifferent about it.
Yeah. Apparently it's been pretty good.
I haven't seen it, but I
Yeah.
was watching the trailers and I was like, this seems like something Kaz would just think would be okay.
I'm a Winter Soldier guy, okay? Like I like Captain America and the Winter Soldier. That's my top 3 Marvel like MCU movies. It's Captain America and the Winter Soldier, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and Ant-Man, okay? Like that's it. If it was not just MCU, it'd be like Spider-Man, X-Men, and then Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But like speaking of that, we did all watch Spider-Man together, didn't we?
I caught the end of it.
Cullen got the end of it, but we
That's a
went back
Toku
and we
movie.
watched the original Spider-Man 2002 movie by Sam Raimi, starring Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe.
That is a Toku film. Like
That is
Yes,
tokusatsu.
it is.
That's not even like a joke. That film is directed, like the fight scenes are choreographed exactly like a tokusatsu Super Sentai show. And I thought, I did not put that together until rewatching it now, because the last time I watched this movie, I was 10 years old. But I was shocked. And then and obviously for people that don't know, Super Sentai, not tokusatsu in general, but Super Sentai specifically is actually like it does have its origins in Spider-Man. Like it is actually influenced by an original Spider-Man show that aired in Japan. It was Japanese Spider-Man is how people call it. So it was really nice to see Sam Raimi direct a Spider-Man movie and be like, you know what? He's like a fucking dude in a costume doing fights. We should like shoot this as if it were a tokusatsu thing, a Super Sentai thing. And I kind of like the way that it's just calling back to a thing that called back to a thing that is also you know what I mean? Like I like that sort of like homage in a certain way.
I don't remember two gives me less Toku vibes, but that's probably because they had like a quadrillion dollars to work with after Spider-Man 1 was like the biggest movie of all time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when it came out, that was kind of insane.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man 2 is like the most money Sam Raimi had ever gotten to do a movie, period. Up until that point. I don't know if he got more money to do Spider-Man 3 or not, or if he even did Spider-Man 3. I'm pretty sure
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did 3.
I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. The original Spider-Man movie is the 2002 Spider-Man movie we watched is great because I also did not pick up on when I was younger the very obvious little story between Norman Osborn and Peter Parker where they both gain powers at the same time and you were watching a parallel of like the difference between like what one does with the power they hold. Peter Parker gains power and almost goes down a path of darkness, right?
And he realizes he's homophobic and says, no, I'm never going to do it ever again. I got to be a good boy.
A bad thing happens to him. And instead of like treating that as like an excuse to continue doing bad thing, he realizes that like he influenced that thing to happen. And he has like a sort of like realization that he has to be better about the way he uses his power. And then Norman Osborn gets powers, right? But Norman Osborn is a corporate CEO scumbag who's upset that no one wants to fund his
War criminal serum.
yeah, like legitimately like awful thing that's like not even proven. And like he wants to like push it out before it's ready. And like
Because he needs
people
the
around,
money.
yeah, because he needs the money or whatever to keep the company going. And he gains power, and instead of using that power well, he does what he has always done with his power up until now, right? And he goes and does bad things with it. I like that parallel, but I also like that movie is also a movie about like this weird surrogate parenthood thing between him and Peter Parker, where the movie like blatantly points it out, where like Harry's like, yeah, dad wishes Peter was his fucking son or whatever. And like you actually do get like a lot of scenes where like he is treating Peter Parker as his son, and Peter Parker never really accepts him as his father, right? And there's like this back and forth until the end of the movie where Norman Osborn explicitly is like, I have treated you like a son, treat me like a father or whatever. And Peter Parker goes, I have a father. His name was Ben. And then the fucking climax of the end of the fight happens at the very end. And it's like, that's great. I didn't notice that when I watched the movie when I was 10, but watching it now, I'm like, wow, Sam Raimi, like whoever wrote this, I don't know if Sam Raimi wrote it, but whoever wrote this had like a really good understanding of Peter Parker's relationship with other characters around him. And they knew how to frame that in an interesting way that I don't think had ever been done prior to that. Like they knew a really fresh way to use the superhero, which makes me sad about the MCU because, yeah.
So I just looked up who the writer was, and it's the guy that adapted Jurassic Park, War of the Worlds, Mission Impossible. All of this stuff. Yeah.
That person knows what they're doing. Yeah. Because I don't know if you ever read the Jurassic Park novel. I have a friend who has, and that friend of mine who's usually pretty like forgiving is like, that book sucks.
It drags.
That book is Old Man Yell at Cloud.
Yes. But yeah, like I can't wait. We should really watch like Homecoming and stuff together, like the movies you haven't watched with Tom Holland, like immediately after having watched that, because I think you're going to see a really stark difference in terms of not only things being shot in location, but how different Peter Parker is as a character and his origins in Homecoming and all of those films, minus Tom Holland being a very good, awkward Spider-Man. He's just given a shit script, and also people don't act in those movies.
No, they don't. They're there for their big paycheck, and also like there's so much like oversight that I don't truly believe actors have that much creative freedom in their performances in Marvel movies. I think they are horribly stifled there.
I think that died with Age of Ultron, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That movie sucks.
Age of Ultron. Yeah, it's really bad. So speaking
of the MCU.
Oh Christ. So I don't know what's wrong with me right now. I think it's just like compiled stress or something, but I was like, I'd really like to watch Captain America and the Winter Soldier as I like look at a picture of Sebastian Stan in that movie, and I'm like, I really need to work out. Like after top surgery, I want to look like this. So I was like, oh, this is really good. Like when did MCU movies really get funneled into the 3 acts that they always encompass, right? And it was really at Age of Ultron, because Avengers was kind of like, you know, we have all these characters interacting and here's this big bombastic fight at the end. But then you had phase 2, and that was like Ant-Man, Winter Soldier, and Iron Man 3. I don't remember what the other ones are. They're so forgettable to me, but it wasn't until Age of Ultron that it felt like there was a clear formula Disney was following, and that was those 3 acts. It's the introduction of the character and conflict, the sort of middle that moves the plot forward and has like weird humor for some reason. I don't like humor. Maybe that's why I like the Winter Soldier so much, because I hate fun. And then that, you know, the Disney mandated fight scene that they crunch their VFX artists on and shit. But you know, those first couple Marvel movies, like the MCU ones, like Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, honestly aren't bad, because it's clear that Marvel really didn't know if they were going to make more of those movies, so they're kind of like treated within a vacuum with the hope the Avengers will be a thing.
Which means they're all stylistically different as well.
That
exactly. Oh my
what's
God,
that? The Captain America movie, that first one. That's actually a pretty dang good film.
Yeah, and it has like its distinct tone, right? Like it is, it's almost pulpy in a way. Like the Red Skull is so fucking goofy. I just, oh my god, and Hugo Weaving like really playing it up, but yeah, like it's a fun movie, right? And obviously Captain America is like the ultimate piece of American imperialist propaganda, other than Captain Marvel, which has like I don't know, if the Air Force shit in it. Like it was.
Yeah, Captain Marvel
like,
is like Captain Marvel is like super raw Air Force stuff.
Yeah, and I think they even did that in collaboration with the United States,
Yes.
like military.
Oh, yes, they did.
Yeah, so
Yep.
yeah, so that's like very like okay, that is the peak, other than Captain America being like whatever, but like his origin story is good, and he's a pure and honest man or whatever. But like, yeah, like that movie's fun, and I watched Thor last night, and I was like, wow, I really liked the direction Kenneth Branagh took Thor, right? Because what like that movie is really funny, but that's because Kenneth Branagh does like a bunch of period pieces and works comedy into them and stuff, right?
Yes.
So it was just good. It was just interesting. And
Have you seen that last Thor movie?
Love and Thunder?
Yeah.
No, because I don't like
It's dog
Taika
shit.
Waititi.
It's fucking
Really?
dog shit. Oh, it's so bad.
Tell me about it, please.
Oh God, I don't. So I haven't seen it in years. But I actually really liked his first Thor movie. And like he had a bit of clout with him, at least for me, because I really liked What We Do in the Shadows. So I was like, I didn't care for any of the other Thor movies, but maybe this new one, Valhalla or whatever that first movie he made was called.
Ragnarok.
That's the one. Ragnarok was good. It's a bit silly, but it was.
Ragnarok is very good because it's
charming.
Like a pressure valve release from the crap we were getting at the time.
Exactly. And then they put out Love and Thunder, and it's like the steam starts building, and they like batten down the hatches with the worst comedy, the worst special effects, the just terrible writing, awful visuals. It's just like, we should watch it sometimes. It is. I think just he sabotaged.
I think the people that worked in that movie that had worked on Ragnarok sabotaged that shit on purpose.
I kind of get that vibe.
The difference is Taika Waititi did not write Ragnarok. He wrote Love and Thunder.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you for that information, Kazuma.
Yeah. No problem.
Because you like with Love and Thunder, it is very clearly like the sequel. Like there's a lot of Ragnarok's DNA in there, and I imagine that is like, because you watch Ragnarok and the directing, like he still has like clear input on it with maybe his direction, but I can, now that you bring that up, I can see the spots in my memory where a writer probably like honed things in. Whereas Love and Thunder is just pure writer-director chaos, and it doesn't work in any way. It was so bad, I stopped watching Marvel movies.
Oh, okay.
Like, I was never like the biggest MCU guy, but like during the pandemic, we had Disney Plus, so I watched like a bunch of the stuff I missed in like phase 3 or whatever. And I actually really liked, I liked Loki well enough. And I like
Loki's good.
Loki season 1 is the only one I've seen. But sorry.
So I will read you the pedigree of the writers that worked on Ragnarok. One of them wrote for X-Men Evolution.
Oh. Sorry, wrong theme song. But close enough.
No, 2 of them wrote for X-Men Evolution, actually. And the other one wrote for Agent Carter and Ant-Man.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Agent Carter's pretty good, isn't it?
Apparently it is. Carter? I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of these guys actually wrote for the Marvel animated films. And I think a lot of people forget how good animated films and animated series can be. But I think I kind of want to watch Thor Love and Thunder just because of how bad it is.
Yeah. I would be totally interested in watching it one more to show it to you, and then never again, because it is a bad movie.
Is it before or after Guardians 3?
Before.
Because I haven't seen Guardians 3 either, so
that's the one where I
Love and Thunder first.
A lot of people like say that was like they brought it all back, and then that's how, like, you know, and then I'm done, I'm good because I got that one. I didn't even want to see that because I just like Love and Thunder left such a bad taste in my mouth.
Ew.
It's crazy how bad that movie is.
I always feel bad for Natalie Portman. I can never tell if she's a bad actress or she just keeps getting cast in these movies that I don't like.
I think she just keeps getting cast in movies you don't like. Cause she's
because
really
Black
good.
Swan, she's pretty good in, right?
Yeah, and what there was another one she was really good in, and it was when she was quite young, and it's not The Professional. It was like Saving or Finding Oklahoma or something, where she's like a teen mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually like a very, very good actress. So yeah, but yeah, man, the MCU. Yeah, we need to watch the Tom Holland movies with GC so you can just be in a state of perpetual agony. This is what I like to do. I like to inflict things I love on my friends and things that will make them feel bad. So GC, we're in it to win it together.
I already know I'm gonna hate the next Tom Holland movie they're making because it's based on a comic book run that I believe ruined so much about what made Spider-Man compelling. But
Tell me, I want to know.
No, I actually kind of like the second, like the last two Tom Holland movies. But I will say I think Far From Home's my favorite of the bunch.
Is that
The one where he goes to Europe?
The Mysterio one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the one with the Green Goblin and Doctor Strange in it because Willem Dafoe shows up and he actually acts, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
and Milena as well, the guy that played Doc Ock. Like those two are there and they're acting, and I'm like, wow, this is what we lost.
The third of those is a very fun, crowd pleasing movie where everyone you could kind of tell is having fun and wanted to be there.
Yes, but my God, it does nothing for Spider-Man's character.
And I know the third Tom Holland movie probably does this slightly or references this or even goes as far as to like actually include this, but Brand New Day in the comic book storyline is the continuation, or I guess you could say it begins. It is the beginning of Spider-Man again, because One More Day, the comic book right before that, in that comic book, Spider-Man makes a deal with Mephisto to...
Is this the thing where Mary Jane gets like cancer?
No.
Okay.
Basically like everything goes to shit for Spider-Man. It's like after the events of Civil War, like the comic book run Civil War. If I might be comic book nerds, I might be confusing my timelines and my canons, but for Amazing Spider-Man, basically Spider-Man was going through a lot of different changes. He was like growing up. He started in high school or college or whatever. And then like he started working for a company, and then he stopped working, and then he worked for the Daily Bugle, and then he started working for Alchemax, and then he stopped working for Alchemax. Like Spider-Man had like continuity and canon and like a life, right? Since his inception in the 70s or the 60s. So One More Day, Spider-Man's life is basically he's had so much tragedy, and he makes a deal with Mephisto. And I forget what he makes a deal with. I forget what he gives up to Mephisto, but basically Mephisto literally in universe reboots the timeline. So Spider-Man gets sent back in time without his memories to when he was young again, like when he was like a high school kid or like just like an early college kid. And I believe that marked the end of one specific writer's run with Spider-Man. And Marvel Comics had basically told him to do it in order to let somebody else do Spider-Man. Like whoever was going to take over, they had a clean slate basically to do whatever they want. So if I remember right, this means the Ben clone saga never happened. Getting married to Mary Jane never happened. Aunt May dying never happened. It basically reboots the entire canon. Like it just gets rid of all of that.
So what they do every time they introduce the Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
God.
So basically Brand New Day is like the beginning of that new continuity essentially. And the reason why I'm not really excited for it is because I don't like One More Day. I think one of the most compelling things about Spider-Man one of the most compelling things you could have done with Spider-Man, and a problem with superhero stories nowadays is they don't change, they don't grow. There's no permanence to what happens to them. Like there's like everyone was freaking out when Captain America fucking said Hail Hydra in a comic book, and everyone was like, I can't believe they're doing this to Captain America. And it's like, it's fine. The comic run is going to end and they're going to reset it, and it's going to turn out that he was never like that to begin with. And when that storyline ends, it'll just continue on as though Captain America never did any of those things.
So the reason that run really sucked was because the entire time Captain America was a Hydra agent of his own volition.
Yes, but at the end of the comic book run, they just undo that. Like it just
what
he stops. So
they're just like he's
that.
like, never mind, fascism sucked, and then that was it.
Nothing ever happens.
This happens in comic books all the time. My favorite.
There
run
are
of
no
Spider-Man,
repercussions to Captain America being a Nazi for fucking 90 years or something.
Cause in comics, nothing ever happens.
So that's a huge problem with comic books, and why the newer Spider-Man stuff is really good, because they're actually letting Peter Parker get old and have a family, and like they're keeping it in Ultimate Spider-Man anyway. But like for instance, my favorite Spider-Man run, or one of my favorite ones, is Superior Spider-Man. I own the entire run of Superior Spider-Man. That is a story of the Amazing Spider-Man comic book run, issue number 600 and something, from 670 something and onward until the end of the Superior Spider-Man like saga, right? Where Doc Ock successfully switches bodies with Peter Parker and wins. And Peter Parker dies in Doc Ock's dying body. And at the very end of his life, Peter Parker, the remnant consciousness of Peter Parker in the body of Peter Parker, forces Doc Ock to live Peter Parker's life in a last attempt to convince Otto Octavius to be a superhero. And that is the start of the Superior Spider-Man run. And it becomes incredibly compelling because it's Otto Octavius living Peter Parker's life with this weird twisted sense of justice, right? And it's really compelling. And then at the end of the run, he gives Peter Parker's body back to Peter Parker somehow, because the body transfer wasn't like 1-to-1 or whatever. But then later on, because he's such a fun character, they bring back Superior Spider-Man as Superior Octopus. And he's like working with Hydra, but not really. So like that's just what comic books do. Comic books will make your superhero do something crazy to get you to read. But like everybody knows that at the end of the run, things will go back to normal, because the next run needs to be something new, but it needs to work off of a base. So
they're just going to introduce the Scarlet Witch, and she's going to lose her shit and reboot the universe again, like she did Avengers versus the X-Men, which is the most dog shit comic run I've ever read in my life.
There's also like House of M, which is also not great. Fucking so that's why I'm like apprehensive about the new Spider-Man movie, because I'm like, this is 100% just going to be. I hope they do something different. I hope they don't go that way, but this is probably just going to be like another movie. Like it's not going to care about stuff that happened before. Like it's just going to treat Spider-Man as this static image that he's been treated as for such a long time up until recently. But yeah, sorry, I went on for a little bit.
No, I wanted to ask about thoughts and feelings on Doomsday, because I'm pretty sure they're doing Captain Hydra for that one.
What's Doomsday again?
It's Avengers Doomsday. They're literally bringing back like 80% of the original X-Men cast, so I am going to see it because I like James Marsden as Cyclops. And I think they're just going to kill the X-Men in that movie.
I like how they kind of did that in the
Deadpool Wolverine.
Dr. Quirky. What's that movie?
Doctor Strange?
Yeah, the Doctor Strange movie where like Patrick Stewart shows up and then Scarlet Witch like murders him.
Oh, he's gonna be in Doomsday.
Oh no, I know this was like alternate universe shit. I'm just saying like in that
Ian
movie.
McKellen, not Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart like wheeled into that, and I was like, oh my god, they're doing the thing where it's like, it's here. It's that guy you want. Just kidding. We think it's kind of cringe that you're so desperate into this nostalgia shit. We're gonna have Scarlet Witch brutally murder all of these cameos. And I applauded and I screamed in like glee, and I was the only one in my theater to do that. God bless Sam Raimi for at least having fun with it and not giving people exactly what they want. And now cowardly Marvel is like, hi, our movies aren't doing good here. We're doing all this like dumb nostalgia shit, but for real. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
They got me. They got me with it real good.
Sam Raimi didn't give people what they want. People didn't want what we got now. People actually wanted new stories with superheroes, and that's what we got with like the original Spider. Like, yeah, you get the same villains, but like Spider-Man 2's like portrayal of Doc Ock is very different. Like, people forget that a lot of like the Sam Raimi movies did a lot to influence future Spider-Man stories, as well as like a lot of hero adaptations at the time did a lot to influence the way those superheroes were then portrayed in the comic books.
Points at Blade, the entirety of Blade's existence.
Yeah, like Blade exists now, for example. Because like nobody give a fuck about Blade until the Blade movies.
No, but I meant his Doctor Strange movie, GC.
Hmm?
He did a Doctor Strange movie.
Sam Raimi?
Yes.
Yeah.
When?
The last Doctor Strange movie, he did it.
And there were like a lot of practical effects because of it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
You
were talking about his recent one, not the old stuff.
Where again, he like I think that movie's just overall kind of okay. I only saw it because it was a Sam Raimi movie.
Same.
But like there is a part where he goes to the super like cross-dimensional like nexus or whatever, and it's like, look at all these alternate universe characters, and it's Professor X, and it's the guy from the old movies. Clap, please. And you go like, oh God, no. And then again, Scarlet Witch shows up and brutally murders all of these cameos. And it's like, okay, Sam Raimi, you're letting me have a good time and I'm happy.
Yes, I love the way that she killed John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic.
It was so sick. It was so good.
Yeah. Or I just love when she's like following them. She's covered in blood and she's like limping, and I'm like, this is a horror movie now. I love this.
Yeah, it's great. Like I can't think of that as anything else but kind of like a spiteful little like nod to the people.
It's commentary about fucking nerds being obsessed with like multiverse shit and sorry, I'm not gonna get into it. You're right. This sure was a multiverse of madness, and then she murdered all those people. The fucking title of the movie being Multiverse of Madness should tell you everything about how Sam Raimi feels about people being obsessed with crossovers and team up movies and superhero shit, especially coming from the guy who made the superhero movie that arguably began this whole fucking obsession with like making more superhero movies.
Hey, you have to give it to David Hayter for actually doing that with the first X-Men movie.
Yeah, that is true. He also did X2 as well.
Oh my God. Thank you, David Hayter.
He's a fucking, I don't care what he does after this. I'm like, the man made X2. He can give him more work.
He also, I think, co-wrote Watchmen, the movie adaptation.
I think so. Yes. Yeah. I remember hearing that. Yep. And that's really good too.
Being a very famous voice actor, he's also really good at adapting comic book movies.
Yeah, he's a good writer.
Big fan.
Yeah, I think he's also the reason why in the X-Men movies, they don't have Cyclops' vision be heat vision, and it is just a concussive blast.
Yep.
Because the people that were writing it had no idea what the X-Men's powers actually were or something.
That's so annoying.
Yeah. So.
Well, you see, Cyclops gets his beams from. Really, he's
the
not
punch
shooting
dimension.
Beams. He is opening a gate to the punch dimension.
A what?
So fucking.
Is that a comic
his
thing?
Eyes.
Comic books are so funny.
Yeah.
Once you realize that, like, everybody, there is no consistent writer for superheroes most of the time. Dan Slott being the exception. He wrote Spider-Man exclusively for like 30 years or some shit. But like, everybody can do whatever they want with comic books. Writers are allowed to play with. That's one of the best things about comic books. And that's why you should totally just pick up a run that you hear is good. Don't worry about like reading the other stuff beforehand, because comic book writers are actually allowed to like explore stuff. But sometimes because of that, you get writers who try to explain how Cyclops' powers work. And they're like, it's a concussive blast. And then somebody like gets into their head where it's like, well, I need to explain how the concussive blast is generated from his body. So
it's just a mutation. It can
Yeah,
just be a
cool.
fucking mutation.
It's just it can be neat. Some people just blow people up with their minds.
Yeah, but sometimes you get writers who are like, oh yes, a Cyclops opens a dimension to the punch dimension when he opens his eyes and it hits people from the punch dimension. A dimension where you are punched all the time.
So fucking stupid.
It's the same reason comic books had Mary Jane died of cancer because she got Peter Parker's radioactive sperm in her. It's the same reason you get shit like fucking, I don't know. I forget. There's so many stupid comic book things, but you get cool stuff too. Like when that one guy punches the Hulk back into Bruce Banner. That shit's great.
Excuse me, what?
I believe it's Sentinel. When Sentinel shows up, the Avengers naturally are like, oh, bad guy. So they go fight him. And Hulk is the first one up. And Sentinel punches the Hulk so hard that he immediately, upon receiving the blow, converts back into Bruce Banner.
Sentinel is the antagonist in Thunderbolts.
Oh, sick.
So you know what? Because of that, I'm going to watch Thunderbolts because this is the guy that hit Bruce Banner so hard, he unhulked.
It's either Sentinel or the Watcher. I forget who it is.
Some guy.
It's great. And then you get stuff like Franklin Richards, the child of Sue Storm and Reed Richards, who his power is wishes come true. His wishes come true.
Jirachi.
You just called their fucking kid Jirachi?
He can change reality to be whatever he wants. So if Franklin Richards wants the air to taste like chocolate, the air tastes like chocolate now. They are fighting Galactus and they are losing. Franklin Richards is like 10 years old, right? Franklin Richards doesn't know what to do, right? They cannot stop Galactus. They don't know how to stop Galactus. So what Franklin Richards does in the coolest thing possible, and honestly, what a 10-year-old would do is, I don't know. He goes, I'm just a kid. I don't know how to. And so he wishes for his self from 30 years into the future to come back in time to help them. 40-year-old or 30-something-year-old Franklin Richards shows up, goes, I remember this. You know, there's only one thing that can beat a Galactus. So he reaches into the ether, activates his powers, and says, "Come, my Galactus." And a future version of Galactus, who is more powerful, shows up. And because it's comic books, the little title card on the panel reads, to introduce the character, that Galactus, it reads Galactus, Herald of Franklin Richards.
What the fuck? This is like someone's stand or something. He's like, my stand, bigger Galactus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
It's great. I think he's also the person that converts Galactus into Galactus the Life Giver instead of Galactus the Planet, the Destroyer or whatever. So there's like a run where Galactus, instead of consuming, because that's his problem, right? Galactus has a never-ending hunger. That's why he eats planets, because he cannot satisfy his hunger. He's like an animal, basically, right?
Someone introduce him to SEO content. Sorry.
I love slop.
The original AI slop maker.
Yeah.
So he turns him into the Life Giver. So now, instead of like an all-consuming hunger, Galactus has a yearning to create life. So he gives birth to planets. He gives birth to life. He revives dead things. And that's like, in that timeline, I guess, or in that universe, like that's what that Galactus does from then on. And then something bad happens to that guy, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, it's comics, you know. The Scarlet Witch happens every like 10 years or something, and we get like a new universe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Comics and movies. Cullen. Yeah?
Is it David Lynch time?
It is David Lynch time. This is the movie cast this week.
Yes, movies. I'm big into films. I like films.
Sorry, guys. This is no longer a video game podcast. We hate video games.
Movie industry sucks, and so do we.
Welcome to burnout culture. The industry sucks, and we're watching movies.
You know,
literally.
Yeah, like people would be like, life is hard. I'm like, you watch a movie lately? Like an old movie? They're pretty good. pretty good. Go watch the whole movie. But yeah, so I showed GC one of my favorite films of the last couple months that I've seen. Fucking Lost Highway by David Lynch. And GC has never seen anything Lynch related ever.
Nope.
I think that movie is super cool. I've been a fan of Lynch for years now, but I only really watched like Twin Peaks. And then after he passed away, I decided to just buy all of his movies on Blu-ray because I knew that they were going to get scalped to shit before too long. And I don't know. I've been big into collecting like Blu-rays this year because I'm terrified of the future of streaming where we don't own anything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I bought all his films and I watched Lost Highway with my girlfriend. And oh my, Kaz, have you seen this movie?
No, I've not seen Lost Highway, but I've seen like Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive and all of those other films.
What do you think of them?
I think David Lynch is really just okay.
Okay.
Right.
I one of my favorite, I guess, filmmakers, but I really like movies that kind of like, instead of trying to tell a coherent story, are more about getting you to feel a very specific feeling. Like you watch Lost Highway and it's really hard to like piece it all together unless you're like looking out for it. But it's a movie that puts you in a very specific mood for the entire runtime, and it doesn't really let up at any point. So it's a bit hard to follow, but basically this like jazz musician is, you know, he has a very unhappy life with his unhappy wife, and they start getting
he has an unhappy marriage.
Very unhappy marriage. But one day he just starts receiving like VHS tapes getting sent to his house, and they start to get like slowly more and more invasive. And like eventually they're being like filmed from his like inside his house, or like watching him and his wife in bed, like stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And from there, the movie kind of changes what it's about like 2 more times, but I can't think of a way to really describe this movie besides an interview David Lynch did where he said this movie was inspired by the O.J. Simpson trials, where he thought it was crazy that someone could go murder their wife and then just go out and smile like nothing had ever happened. So to be vague about it, because I do think if our viewers are interested in like a really neat movie, just go see it. I don't want to ruin anything about it for you, but like I believe the exact term is a psychogenic fugue. What is that way?
That the main character goes through?
It's a psychological thriller.
Yeah. No. It like what it's it's like an exact like
what the
it's a state he goes into.
Yes.
Yeah. A psychedelic fugue.
Yeah. Psychedelic. No, it is actually, I got it right. Wow. Psychogenic fugue.
Psychogenic. Sorry.
And that I will tell you now, if you're going to watch it, like with all of his movies, I think you need to just set some like block off like 2.5 hours and don't do anything else. It's a very like neat movie to just immerse yourself in. And I don't think it'll hit like it'll play as well for everybody. Like we were watching it with one of our buddies, Cheese, and it was really funny how right before like I was just showing my friends this movie that I like really loved. And he was like, "Oh, I can't wait for all of them to watch the worst David Lynch movie." And I was like, "Oh."
See, and Cheese and I have like very similar opinions. So.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Cheese really likes Lynch, though. And he also told me go watch Mulholland Drive, because it's got a bit more of a coherent thing to say. And I was like, I actually kind of like I don't want to say incoherence, because I think there is like you can piece together what Lost Highway is trying to say. It's just being really cryptic about it. And I think it's that kind of perceived incoherence where it feels more like a nightmare that doesn't entirely make a bunch of sense. Like that actually really grabbed me. And I like movies that make me experience something. Like I'm immersed in a very particular
you like a
feeling.
movie. You like a movie that wants you to ask questions about it.
Yeah.
So you would love Inland Empire. I think that would be your favorite film of his.
I think it might. I'm holding on to that one because my girlfriend and I can't like marathon David Lynch. We typically have to wait a while.
You need breathers between his films.
I mean, to be fair, I could probably like just binge it because I'm the binger, but you know,
because when you get into something, you're into it, and I love that for you.
But after I showed GC Lost Highway, and I do want to circle back to get his thoughts on it, I watched Mulholland Drive, and I gotta say, I loved Mulholland Drive. I still think I like Lost Highway a bit more, but I was really surprised at how, like, by the end, straightforward it is to piece together what that movie is about. And it kind of plays with your expectations of what a Lynch movie is supposed to be, with like how it handles its like, you know, dream logic, which I think a lot of his work kind of operates on. I was like, I was kind of swept off my feet with Mulholland Drive because I liked like it the entire time. But in that last act, I think it really like the way it recontextualizes itself kind of blew me away and it was a smarter film than I expected. And I don't mean that to say like none of his movies are smart, but I was like actually like, oh, like, because with Lost Highway, I had to think about it for a while, like what that movie was actually about and trying to do. And I think the second watch helped a lot. While I will rewatch Mulholland Drive at some point, I don't need to rewatch it to like get it. But the only other of his films I've seen I watched Blue Velvet, and I think Blue Velvet is fine.
Yeah, it's a very aggressively okay film, in my opinion.
It's like on Blue Velvet is one I probably will rewatch at some point. I think it had like and for its time, I think it is like, you know, it is that Lynchian creepiness, but like it is very pre-Twin Peaks. Like his filmography really comes down to, was it before Twin Peaks or was it after? Because like Fire Walk with Me, I still think might be my actual favorite film of his, but I need to, you know, I want to rewatch all of Twin Peaks and then rewatch it to like decide. But at the moment, like standalone works, I still think like Lost Highway has a vibe to it that just really like it grabbed me. And that one fucking scene where he's at this party and he like meets this like creepy guy and he's like, hey, what's up with you? And the guy's just like, I'm at your house. That's fucking weird, man.
Yeah, it's because a lot of his films, I would say with the exception of like Wild at Heart, are like, and what was it? What's the other one? It's
A Straight Story.
Yeah. Other than Wild at Heart and The Straight Story, a lot of his stuff is very surreal. Right?
Yeah, and I love that shit. I eat it up.
So I think you like Inland Empire because it shares commonality with Lost Highway in the way that there are characters playing dual roles. And take that as you will.
The one thing though, I'm really sad that I got like spoiled on an Inland Empire. I don't know any about the plot, but like you've seen it, right, Kaz?
Yes, I have.
Are you familiar with the face?
Yes.
I saw that, like, GC, do not Google this movie if you actually want to see it.
What movie?
Inland Empire.
Oh, okay.
There is, I don't know any of the context behind it. I don't know anything about it, but there is an image that I have seen just by unfortunately like looking up, like even just the thing on Google, that it's like, that imagery I would have loved to actually see in the goddamn movie. Why is that like
you? That would have kept you from sleeping.
I think it because I have it on my phone in my peripheral and I'm like I'm unnerved. I'm glad that you like. I'm glad. I'm glad you remember the face because I was gonna DM it to you, and then I would feel bad of that being in our DMs.
Well, don't DM it to me because you'll be nervous looking at our DMs and I won't.
But like, Inland Empire seems really cool. I'm not sure if I want to do Eraserhead first or just keep going in order, and then after our Mulholland Drive watch Inland Empire. But like a lot of what I've heard about Inland Empire is really neat. I like the fact that they just like filmed it on like, you know, lower budget film or digital cameras. I think that's like really interesting. And after Mulholland Drive, I'm really interested to see like what Inland Empire is like about, because his run from Lost Highway to Twin Peaks: The Return, so far it's all been stuff I like. So I have a feeling I will fuck with Inland Empire hard.
Cool. I think so too. I think that'll probably be maybe your second favorite.
But GC,
what
did you think about Lost Highway?
So everything I'm about to say is positive connotation. Everything I'm about to say, I mean it in a positive way. I don't mean this in a negative way. I think Lost Highway is a great movie if you are a fan of reading a book and figuring out what the fuck the book is about. And by that, I mean like classic literature novels, you know, where you read a novel and it's like when you were in high school and you didn't know what the fuck books were about. And then one day your English teacher was like, what if this meant this? And then your brain expanded and exploded and you were like, holy shit, stories can mean things. It's a great movie for that because David Lynch, I don't know who wrote that movie. I don't know if David Lynch also wrote the screenplay for it, but Lost Highway feels like a novel adaptation that someone took 60% of the novel out of and then turned that into a movie, which is how adaptations kind of work. But I actually think watching Lost Highway has sort of demystified David Lynch for me in one of the best ways possible, because I had never seen a David Lynch thing. And the reason I never saw a David Lynch thing is because people always treat David Lynch movies as impossible to penetrate, impossible to understand, impossible to grasp what he's getting at and what he's trying to say. And, you know, this and this
because
and that.
People want to sound smart for watching his films when they're just like surrealist. It's like being like,
yes.
Well, I look at Salvador Dali's art and there's so much to infer there that the normal man wouldn't understand. It's like, dude, it's surrealist.
And I don't want to say that like, oh, Lynch movies are actually super simple. That's not what I mean. I mean like, yes, he's abstract. Yes, he's surreal.
There's faux intellectualism around a lot of his work, not by him, but the people that consume his films.
Because if you listen to David Lynch talk, you know, David Lynch is like he's a very like, what is it? Not low to the ground, down to earth.
Yeah.
He's very down to earth. Like, he's weird, obviously. He's a weird guy, but like, he's never like avant-garde. He's never pretentious. He just seems to just like make things and then whatever. But what I like about Lost Highway is that the movie is very much structured as he wants you to kind of think about what's going on. Oh, by the way, the suspense, the very Hitchcockian Lost Highway, like the way he's doing shots and stuff to like create like an unsettling emotion.
There is never a moment where you're not kind of uncomfortable, even when the movie is trying to be like a little funny.
Yeah, like there's always like this like unease there, which I really, really like. I think that was very, very, very good. But yeah, like at the end of the movie, I was like, what the fuck was any of that about? And then, you know, just looking into it just a little bit, just like thinking about it a little bit in the call with everybody, like it was very easy to just kind of pull on the thread and figure out like what this is getting at and like what it's talking about. And
it's always great to show a movie to a group of people and then for 30 minutes just get to hear them talk about it. Like, I didn't have to lead the discussion. I didn't have to be like, so what did you all think of this particular scene? Where I just got to sit back and like hear all of them just like analytically discuss a movie. It was really cool.
And something that I enjoy about that sort of like abstraction and that surrealism is that if you look at stuff that has been inspired by David Lynch, you don't actually get that. I'm not going to say M. Night Shyamalan isn't directly inspired by David Lynch, but like if you watch something like an M. Night Shyamalan movie where there's a mystery and it's sort of surreal, like there's like an unease to it, like obviously he's
Don't
trying
worry,
to
somebody's
create...
just Amish.
Yeah. Like the movie will eventually just explain it, right? Like eventually you get to the twist, right? Where he just tells you what's going on, right? Oh, he was dead the whole time. Oh, this is like there's no sense of like just leaving the audience in suspense, just leaving them there with like, I'm not going to tell you, right? Even if it's really easy for you to figure it out, I'm not going to tell you. I want you to sort of like think on it and think about it. And then on top of that, when you think about it, as you put together what's like quote unquote really going on, like the subtext of like the movie itself, you then also acquire like a meaning behind that. Like there is a meaning, like in Lost Highway, the obfuscation of what is actually happening is in and of itself part of what David Lynch wanted to say with that movie. That sense of like unease and like confusion and like that is David Lynch's reaction to the thing that inspired him to make the movie. And you get that, and then you derive meaning from that. And like, again, it's not like super challenge. I don't think it was super challenging. I don't think it was like super, abstract or super surreal. I've seen examples of like way harder surrealism, way more abstraction. One of those being The Lighthouse, a more modern example of something that's like a little more like out there than David Lynch's is The Lighthouse. That movie's fucking weird. Okay. And even that's like a tame example. But I like the fact that Lynch is in that space because very clearly Lynch has inspired all these other people to make things that are even deeper and more interesting and more complex. And I feel like it's sort of a discredit to David Lynch to not treat his movies as like really good examples of filmmaking that challenges its audience, and then to more be focused on the fact that he is a very good surrealist, because I think his control of surrealism is really good, but he's using that to create and to advocate and promote more literacy in like the way the audience, like active participation in media, right? More media literacy, more trying to understand something, more trying to like piece things together. And the fact that it's not that complicated, I think is intentional. I think it's because he wants you to kind of come to a conclusion, even if it's not the same one that he intends for you to have. He wants you to kind of like piece something together out of it.
Famously would like not want to like discuss his films with like people who asked.
Yeah, because and I think that might be part one, because he wants you to come to your own conclusions about it. But part two, because I think he knows that it's not that fucking complicated. Like, I think he's like asking, when he says, I'm not going to talk about it, I think that was him basically being like, you can figure this shit out. You don't have to fucking ask me for the answer. I know you can figure it out. Go watch the movie and figure it the fuck out. And I think that's like his take on it. I think that was his like perspective.
I would love to have you revisit that thought after Twin Peaks season 3 if you ever watch it.
Oh, sure. Why not? But like, I really liked it. I was actually very, very pleasantly surprised. I don't know if I'd watch more of his like more suspenseful stuff, because it's actually really, it's not a genre that I'm very like interested in. Very good movie, Lost Highway, by the way. But like,
it's okay. I'll make you watch all of them with me.
If I watch those kinds of movies, I have to keep myself somewhat distracted, because if I don't distract myself, I will probably have an anxiety attack and I will have to stop watching. There's a Michael Jackson documentary that I watched the first part of, and then I was like, I can't watch the second part. I'm too like fucked over.
We cannot watch Inland Empire with GC.
I could try, but like, at some point I will end up distracting myself.
But I have it's also like a 3-hour long movie. So I'm gonna when I watch it in like a couple months, I will report back if I think GC can't watch it. But knowing GC and the fact that he's a little scaredy baby boy, probably not. No,
I'm always willing to give it a try.
All I think about is that Skyrim clip. Okay, like that is my impression of things. That's Skyrim. That is my GC has a hard time with horror. Now GC go play Silent Hill 4.
Yeah. I will say Lost Highway is not that scary. It's a little creepy, but you know, I could do that. I just, you know, I do
it's
have
just
to keep myself
suspenseful.
busy with something so that I don't like anxious my way into a horrible unknown that does not actually exist.
It's like, and I think that's the best part of his movies. Like, for the most part, it's really just he likes tension.
Yes.
I think like because Mulholland Drive kind of gets into some more like horror shit. Like there are parts of like where that goes that are just like genuinely kind of creepy. But like, yeah, it's just that like that tension that just doesn't release the entire movie.
He loves edging. He loves edging and denying. That man, I don't think that man's ever had an orgasm in his life because he loves the feel of never quite there. Fucking asshole. That whole movie, I was like, just make something, just jump scare me. Just make something bad happen. Never. Motherfucker.
It's great.
And that's
Rest in peace, you bastard.
Do you see why like a lot of people compare his films to like Silent Hill and shit?
Yes.
Oh God. So like
Yeah.
the Team Silent.
I wouldn't stop pointing that out.
Lynch fans.
The entire time we were watching the movie, I was like, oh, the people that make Silent Hill like David Lynch. Oh, that's like, oh. I was like, videotapes?
I watched Blue Velvet for the first time and I was like, oh my God, Silent Hill 2 creative team got away with highway robbery.
Yes.
There's shit that's just kind of one-to-one. And, you know, I'm not saying they like stole it. I think it is homage. But like the closet scene in Blue Velvet, I'm like, okay, that's just Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. But yeah, no, it was great. Very much liked it. I would like to see another David Lynch. I might actually go give Twin Peaks a try because I hear that's like surreal and creepy, but also kind of goofy. In
the second season is a soap opera.
Yeah. I hear the second season's not the best.
You gotta watch it though. It's very funny.
Just keep in mind doorknob Asian.
Got it.
The second season of Twin Peaks, after the first like couple episodes, David Lynch left, and it's super obvious that it becomes a completely different show. Like, I think because I'm a fan of my soaps, I do think it's like fun to watch. But like the last episode, Lynch comes back and it's like the surrealism is turned to a level that show had never seen. And then
I'm surprised they let him do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it was such a strong finale and it was such a completely unique tone that Twin Peaks became what the last episode of season 2 was. Like that is Twin Peaks from that point forward. The like joy of Twin Peaks dies from that point on.
There's definitely some weird like messaging in season 3 regarding specific things that we can talk about once GC watches it, where I'm just kind of like the politics of this are not great, or I guess it's whatever. We'll get to it when we get there. I wouldn't even say confused. There are very specific insinuations made about characters based on the circumstances in which they were born, which really sucks.
I don't remember like anything about season 3.
Dougie Jones.
You know, I do remember Dougie Jones though. That's my guy.
Dougie Jones.
Dougie Jones is a character with a I'm gonna be fucking cringe. I don't go here, but I think it's funny. Like in stat of 1, but a charisma stat of 2000, and constantly rolls D20s.
I love that. Yeah, just the Dougie, where have you been? And he just doesn't fucking say anything. Like, and he just tumbles from one scenario to the next.
And everyone just loves him. It's great. Dougie Jones. Oh my! I can't say more about Dougie Jones. GC will learn about Dougie Jones.
How many episodes is Twin Peaks?
A lot.
Like in its entirety, like 56, 96.
I think episodes stop becoming a factor after a while, especially when like there are, I think 18 episodes of The Return, but each of them are an hour long.
Oh, that's fine. I just need to know like roughly Twin Peaks number.
The Return is like an 18-hour movie.
48. Whatever. There's 48 episodes. I can do that.
Is that what we're doing?
I'd love to watch Twin Peaks with GC.
48 and some of them are like 30 minutes long, you say? Ugh.
I got it all on Blu-ray. No, I didn't say 30. I said an hour.
Yeah, they're not.
No, but
old.
like the later ones are. But like the earlier ones, how long are those? Because you made it sound like,
Like
they're different lengths.
30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easy. I can knock that out in like a weekend.
You're gonna watch it without us?
A weekend without productivity. No, yeah, we can watch it together if you want. Yeah,
Yeah, let's watch it.
sure.
Yeah, that first season's really strong.
It is.
Alright.
I have
you
it
just
all
have
on
to
Blu-ray.
know that just know that David Lynch left because they made him reveal a mystery he had no intention of revealing, and that's why he basically walked off.
I would too.
Yeah.
That would tell me that you have never seen my work nor care for what I do with my work if I were David Lynch.
Well, it was like the highest rated and most viewed TV show on the air at the time. And then
Yeah.
Disney, because they own the network it was airing, I was like, we want bit number go up, big, big, big. Tell us
Yeah,
who
he was
did
like,
it.
fuck yourself.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I would be insulted as a creator. I watched one David Lynch movie and immediately understood his like perspective on filmmaking and creating thing. If somebody told me do the exact opposite of what you're famous for and why we hired you and what you do, I'd be like, fuck yourself. I have integrity.
It is a shame that he had to do that, but like that kind of birthed Fire Walk with Me, which is my favorite bit of Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part I'd really be interested in showing GC.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
That movie pissed off so many people.
So that was David Lynch and our conversation about how David Lynch is actually a pretty cool guy, I think.
very competent filmmaker.
Love him or hate him, like you very clearly know he has a vision and a direction and he has an idea, and I respect that.
But if
You
you
know?
hate him, we cannot hang, as in me, with you.
Vince, well, that's Cullen's problem, but
No,
like
that's what I said.
with-
That's my problem. I'm not saying we as in we.
been so long since like we talked about like a famous creator of some kind who's like our issue. Like if you don't like him, it's more so just like, oh, I don't like, the work he does or whatever. And it's not like, oh,
He's a dog shit human being.
he's a fucking awful
who runs
person.
a studio full of Nazis.
He runs a fucking
David Cage.
He runs a fucking puppy mill in his off
Yeah.
time or some shit,
Yeah.
like
J.J.
Jesus
Abrams.
Christ.
Uh,
But yeah, also besides watching movies, we were talking about this before we started the podcast first, but like the three of us did not really do much in the last
I've
2
been
weeks.
playing 100 Line, and that is it.
However, I did something that I haven't done in a long time.
watch the movie.
No, I read a book.
Ooh.
Ooh, the
Not only did I
reader.
read a book, I read this book in one sitting. I sat down about I think literally the same day we put out the podcast episode. I sat down and I said, I'm gonna read something. I want to read something. So I had purchased like $450 worth of books on my last trip to Barnes & Noble. So of course, like anybody who does that, I grabbed the book that I had bought 6 months prior to read instead. And I sat my ass down and I read 300 pages of Every Tool's a Hammer by Adam Savage. If you don't know who Adam Savage is, he is one of the co-hosts from Mythbusters, the old Mythbusters show, like the original co-host of that show.
Mhm.
But he is also a very talented special effects artist, a very talented creator. He now runs Tested, where it's literally just a place where he like builds stuff. And I think it's his own, like, I think he does have his own like company for like creating, like, it's not just movie effects. It's like, fixtures for events, sets for theater, basically anything that you need somebody to make with their hands. That's basically like Adam Savage's entire career in a nutshell. And the book is essentially a pseudo memoir of his career as someone who makes things, with the angle of, I have a lot of advice that I want to give people who make things, and I'm going to sort of base that around my experiences as someone who makes things, my mistakes, life lessons I've learned by being in like a career where like you're constantly just like a craft, right? of sorts, and also include like, things that I learned from other people, which is one of the more interesting parts of the book is that like he's not just going over like, so here's factually like this, and that. It is literally a book where he talks about his process for creating something. And at the front of the book, he emphasizes, one of the first things he says in the book is, oh, I met a guy at a maker convention. That's what he calls creatives and people that make things. He calls them makers, which I think is an unfortunate name you picked, Adam. But instead of creators, he says makers.
In the sex scenes we don't like.
So he had a guy come up to him and be like, oh, I don't make things, I code. To which he responded, coding is making, right? So the book, even though it focuses on like advice for like he frames the advice as though he's talking about, his own process with like building things. It's also like really good advice about how to organize yourself in your creation process, how to adapt to certain things, how necessary collaboration and community is to people who make things, and also like how important it is to learn things from others who are both more experienced and less experienced than you. There are some tools for problem solving. So one of the things that he writes in the book that I've immediately applied to my own processes is list making, which I used to do, right? I used to make to-do lists and stuff. This is also good advice for people with bipolar disorder, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he does lists, but he doesn't just do lists, right? He
Is
does
it the rational
lists.
and irrational thinking?
Huh?
Is it the rational and irrational thinking lists or what?
No.
Okay.
No. This is more just for productivity purposes.
Ah, okay.
So he makes lists, right? But he doesn't just make a list, right? He makes lists of lists. So he'll do a to-do list of things that he needs to do, and then he will expand on those things, and he'll make another list for like, that aspect of the thing, right? He'll break that into smaller problems. If you're a coder, you recognize this because that's what we're trained to do when we go to school for it is we take a problem and we try to break it down into as many small problems as we can, into manageable problems that are a lot easier to solve. And then we work our way backwards up to the top problem.
Yeah.
But he starts doing lists and like he breaks them down, and then he tries to convert every list he's made. He tries to fit it all into one page. He goes, this is my one pager that I can look at, whatever. And there's like these little tricks and stuff that, doesn't feel like much, but then like you start reading about his other processes and his mistakes. And one of the things that stood out to me is that Adam Savage has had experiences that I think a lot of creatives have had, but they don't think a lot of other creatives have had. So like, there's like a story he tells about like his first big, like quote unquote professional fuck up. And that resonated a lot with me because I had a really bad fuck up early on when I was doing creative stuff before YouTube or whatever. And he talks about like how you have to sort of like identify like, and the lesson he came away with that is you have to know when you need to ask for help. You have to know the scope of what you can do. You have to like do this. And a lot of this stuff seems like I'm not really selling the book really well, but like there's a lot of really good advice in it for people who make stuff, but also there's a lot of really good sort of, he gives you practical things you can apply, which is a thing that I always get annoyed at when I read books like this that are like people trying to tell you what you should do, is that they always come off as platitudes. They always come off as like, very subjective or really bitter. But the book is nothing like this. This book is nothing like that. You read the book and the advice he's giving is practical advice. It's not just, oh, you got to do this. It's, oh, you should try to be more open-minded about these things. Here is an applicable way, a practical way that you can do that. Here is a way you can actually sort of measure that out. Because as he explains in his book, is he's very much that kind of thinker where like you can't just tell him, oh, you got to do this and then expect him to do it. Like he needs to create a system where he can sort of like guarantee that that growth. I'll look at like one, I highlighted the shit out of this book. And he also like, he has this really, really, really good section. I just remembered. He has this really amazing section about failure. And he talks about how there's like this fear of failure. And like, there's this conversation with creative people where it's like, oh, you have to You have to not be scared to fail or whatever. And what he says instead, I'm going to read 2 quotes from it. It's all on the same page, right? I highlighted it. He says, "Your job as a creator is to take as many of the wrong turns as necessary without giving up hope until you find the path that leads to your destination. Making is making, and none of it is failure. It is an iterative process. It is how you learn new skills. It is how you gain knowledge and experience. It's how you improve yourself. It is how you make new things. And the key to it all is tolerance, both literal and figurative." He says that because this section is actually him talking about loose and tight tolerance for when you're making like structures, where like a loose tolerance is like, things can jiggle in it, but like a tight tolerance means like when you put a nail through a hole, right? Tight tolerance means it doesn't move much. Loose tolerance means it can move a little bit. And like there's different tolerances for different things. But he's basically saying in the entirety of that section, he's basically talking about how creators need to sort of reframe failure, because it's not just about being okay with failing. It's about understanding that is not failure. That is not, there's no such thing when you're making something, because what you are doing is learning. Like everything you do, everything you create, everything, when you go out to make something, it is a curiosity or an obsession, right? It is, you want to do this thing. You might not know how to do that thing in the most complete way, but you're going to go do it anyway. And the things you do when you're making that thing are not you failing. The quote unquote mistakes you make is literally you exploring and learning what works for you, what you like, what you need help with, what you can do better. Like none of that is failure. None of that is a shortcoming that you have. When you make something, you are learning how to do something, and you never stop learning how to do a thing. Like that is the joy of creating things. It is a form of self-discovery and a form of like self-improvement.
Yeah,
so of course,
gonna say, every bit of failure in life or mistakes, like as long as you're open-minded and adaptable, that just leads to like self-improvement.
Exactly.
Yes. A lot of it feels like things
right?
that I already know, which is a problem with me, where people give me advice and I roll my eyes and I go, I know. I'm very hard-headed that way, or I know better than I'm able to apply, basically, right? So I struggle with that. People give me advice all the time and I'm like, I know that. I've told myself that 1,000 times. This book frames it in a way that I actually listened, because this book didn't try to like appeal to my emotions. It didn't try to like make me like feel better about myself. It just rationalized and very properly like fact of the matter shows and like presents the facts of it, where it's like, this is why this is this. You can do this physical thing that you can actually like put into practice to actually measure that truth for yourself. And it was very powerful. It was very good. And after I finished reading it, I went on to start writing my script for my next video. And I ended up, that's why I haven't played any fucking video games this week. This book has literally like reinvigorated my ability to create things. My writer's block went away. My desire to like escape into my fucking hobbies went away.
Your skin cleared. Your head started to sheen better.
I straight up think this book saved me from like giving up on making things. I'm not even like, that's not even hyperbole, because I was thinking of quitting a lot of shit. I think this book legitimately saved that like part of me that enjoys creating stuff. So thank you, Adam Savage. You wrote a really good book. I very much appreciate it. If you ever feel like writing another book, I will be there. I don't think he's going to, but yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's literally everything I've ever done with myself in the last 2 weeks.
I watched Kingdom of Heaven, like the full cut, and it was actually pretty decent. It came out the same year as New World. So Kingdom of Heaven is just Ridley Scott's epic about the Crusades, except it's like maybe the Crusades were fucked up, actually. And there is a lot of Orientalism in that movie, which is not what people were critiquing. They were saying it was Osama bin Laden's version of history. So, yeah. if you want to watch a movie that says the Crusades are bad, that's a very gross oversimplification of it. But go watch Kingdom of Heaven, the full cut. It's like 3.5 hours long. It's really beautifully like color corrected. And you know the Baldwin memes of like the guy in the mask holding up his hand?
Yeah.
That's from Kingdom of Heaven. Like that's literally like silence. That's from that movie. But yeah, it stars Orlando Bloom. He's a young man who ends up falling into the Crusades because he murdered a man that stole a cross off of his dead wife. And, it is, people that joined the Crusades were criminals or people that were desperate to do something. Yeah.
What is it?
Conscripted?
Conscripted. Thank you.
Yes.
I think I've heard that the extended cut of that is like way like substantially better than the original and like one of the best films ever. I should see that.
Yeah. It's 3 hours long. Very nice to look at. It's something you can put on in the background and still understand the entirety of the plot. It is based on real people, so if you're interested in the figures shown in this movie, you can also read up on history. So it's a win-win. Unlike
2025
Troy,
is sorry, not to cut you off. I just want to say 2025 is my year of watching 3-hour fucking movies.
Oh, you're
on my couch. Under my banky with my coffee.
Yeah.
Kingdom of Heaven is like a fucking low to the ground like fucking story about the horrors that we committed in the name of a potentially false god. And then you get to Troy, and like Troy's like, it's you really got me now.
It was made by the guys that ended up adapting Game of Thrones, and when I found that out, I was like, oh, so much of the way Game of Thrones went when they didn't have anything to work off of made so much sense to me. Because
Orlando Bloom is in both of those movies.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he was the It Boy, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, but all you got to know about D&D, the guys that did Game of Thrones and all of the insertion of rape and shit, is that in the extended cut of Troy, they show a rape. So
yeah,
I feel like those guys have something not right in their heads. But Cullen, if you want to see
some thoughts,
yeah, if you want to see the biggest, no, the largest amount of extras ever hired for a film, that's Troy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was like 20K people or something. And they were all from Greece.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like a lot.
Yeah.
Can you believe there's people that think the Crusades weren't fucked up?
Yeah, a lot of white people.
Like when I hear it's a crusade. Hello? It's the original. It's what the name crusade comes from. That word has such a negative connotation in our modern day.
Oh my God, I'm just like rubbing my head like, yeah, Cullen, you should definitely read what the criticisms of Kingdom of Heaven were among like critics and shit, as opposed to like academics that were like, this is a kind of fucking Orientalist actually with the way that you're portraying a handful of really specific characters, because it contradicts how like history recorded their interaction with like Islamic culture. And then there's just like publications that are like, this is anti-American, and it's like, holy shit,
bro. America wasn't even around.
Oh no, it was anti-Christian propaganda. There we go. Anti-Christian propaganda. It makes Christianity look
propaganda
bad.
It's not propaganda if it's true, motherfuckers.
Yeah. So
anyway.
But yeah, I love the movie cast this week. This was good.
Yeah, I like films.
Mm-hmm. Apologies to anybody that was expecting video game chat this week. I feel like we are moving further and further away from video games to fucking purge ourselves.
We can go to questions at this point.
Yeah,
we have a lot of questions, and I don't know how much time we got, but we can try to answer them quick.
We actually haven't even gotten close to 2 hours yet, so that's good.
Okay,
we're like
excellent.
We're like an hour and 40 minutes. Very short
Okay,
episode.
Cool. Short cast.
Yeah.
GC cast. Nothing? No reaction?
Mm-hmm.
No reaction?
I'm 5'6". I'm aware of my height.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm going back to not reacting to the things you say now.
Oh, dang.
I've realized that I've given you too much.
I gotta be nicer for a while just to keep you on your toes. Everyone knows that I'm mean to you in a specific way, and by you I
It's
mean
love.
the royal you, not you. It's from love.
It's always love.
Mhm.
You wouldn't feel comfortable doing it otherwise.
No, I don't. I don't be mean to people who don't deserve it, or I don't like. So make
Yeah.
of that of you will.
I
but-
like you, but you deserve it.
Well, yeah.
All right, let's go. 20 minutes on the clock.
All right. Sonia asks, and a big question for my phone screen. Hey, burnt brohemians, what the fuck does it mean for a piece of media to be a deconstruction of a genre? Getting into anime as I was growing up as a teen in the early to mid 2010s, I would constantly hear about anime discussion at the time referred to shows like Madoka and Evangelion as deconstructions of their genres. However, any explanation as to why they were or what a deconstruction even was never seemed quite satisfactory. But I'm gonna like skim through some of this because we got
It's
like
a
some
big question.
spoilers. It is a big question, but I think the important part is actually, you know what? The Ava part is like, yeah. In the case of Ava, though, that feels somewhat disingenuous when the trope is that's deconstruction was something already effectively explored with Amara Ray in Gundam 0079 and Zeta Gundam. But in Madoka Magica, I never recall any compelling arguments being made or real examples given for its status as a deconstruction. That just didn't come down to saying it was dark, edgy, and a subversive take on a magical girl show, which never satisfy me. This brings me to my question. Are genre deconstructions even a real thing, or are they kind of just bullshit sophistry? Do any of y'all have a solid grasp on and or understanding of what it means for something to be a deconstruction of its genre? I think in the case of Ava, the deconstruction thing was really funny because I think I mostly heard that from people who were not mecha fans, finding the first mecha that they actually liked and saying it was just a deconstruction. When if you've ever really gotten into anything that Anno has ever made, it's obvious that he's just like, for better or worse, just a fan of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's more homages, right?
Yes.
And him venting his frustration. Like that's kind of the crux of Evo. Whenever someone says something is a deconstruction, you always really got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, for example, with Madoka Magica, there was actually a really good criticism of this by a queer Japanese woman on Tumblr that got chased off for it because she was like, this is not a deconstruction. This is just the writer continuing his hateful shit against women. If you've seen Fate Zero, then you understand what I'm talking about, or any of his other work. That is not a deconstruction of the magical girl genre. That is a man taking out his frustrations on a cast of young female characters, as he often does in his work. And yeah, I think there needs to be more research done on things before people call them deconstructions. Like you said, Cullen, like people that have never engaged with mecha being like, Evangelion is a deconstruction of the genre, and it's like, I guess.
And then he rebuilt it in the reconstructions.
And no, it was like it was just like a guy really loving mecha and wanting to like talk about all like the tropes that develop from it. Like, it's not even like not all of it is even like we're gonna have big discussions on this, but like I think there's definitely a subversive nature to it, and we kind of confuse subversion with deconstruction. But like, I'm gonna be honest, we don't get new genres anymore. So what has happened now with like culture at large, you could say literally you have to deconstruct the medium you're working in order to make new art. Like, you just have to do it.
So it's important to give the definition of deconstruction in regards to literary analysis. I will read it verbatim from the dictionary. Deconstruction is a method of critical analysis of philosophical and literary language which emphasizes the internal workings of language and conceptual systems, the relational quality of meaning, and the assumptions implicit in forms of expression. When we apply this to media, a deconstruction is literally, if something is a deconstruction of a genre, it is having a critical look on that genre and trying to qualify and quantify the aspects of that genre with the intent to say something about the genre, to have some sort of criticism of it. If something is a celebration of the genre, it is not a deconstruction.
Yes.
Because it is not looking to critically analyze it, which is fine. You can be a celebration of the genre. If something is satire, that is closer to deconstruction, but not exactly, because a satire is more of it's almost a mockery of whatever it is about, right? So it's not necessarily a critical analysis. It's more of an outright mockery, and then parody is just celebration, but through it's parody through facetiousness, through making fun of itself, essentially. And I think that's what people kind of misunderstand about deconstruction as a concept, is a lot of them, I feel like a lot of people view deconstruction as like, oh yeah, like it's gonna like, it's like trying to like,
it's trying to
break
take
it
this
down.
thing. Yeah, it's trying to take this thing to task, this thing that I don't like, and that's why I like it. Like
It's completely demolishing it. It's like, that's not really, it's not really what deconstruction is.
They believe it's the exception to the rule. This is something within that genre they can like because they believe it is a critical examination of something, when finding something like that is actually quite rare regarding genre.
Yeah, like you can have something that deconstructs a very specific aspect and you can make the argument for that, but something in its entirety is probably not going to be a deconstruction, because like that takes a lot of work if you think about it. I'm going to break down this entire genre and have something to say about it as a whole is kind of, that's a big bill,
Yeah, like the popularization of like Ava in particular, because again, I haven't seen Madoka in years. I'm not speaking on that part, but like the Ava bit, and like I'm very familiar with Mecha. Like it, as I've gotten older and as I've really looked at like what that whole discussion really is, it just kind of comes across as insecurity from people who don't know anything about Mecha wanting to have something smart to say, when it's just like there's so much like stuff to look at in, like, if we were just talking the original Evangelion, like there's plenty of things that you can talk about of what that's trying to do and say without feeling the need to kind of project
tear down what's come before.
Like, well, yeah. But like, project your distaste for a medium. And it's like, if you think that Ava is a deconstruction, go watch Gundam.
Yeah, I feel like people that say that about Ava didn't, or maybe they watched the original Gundam at a point in their lives when they didn't understand its themes, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I would, you're being very generous, I think. And that's
I'm trying to be a nicer person, Cullen, okay?
We're switching because like I'm the mecha freak, we're switching roles for this one conversation. And I'm going to be like, from my experience of 90s
These people
kids,
are dumbasses.
Yeah, well, kind of. From my experience of being a 90s kid who most of my generation grew up and started forming their taste in the 2000s, often looking back of the decade prior, because I feel like when we get into anime, a lot of the stuff we end up watching when we do that, like, phase of the retro, like what other anime is, most of us go back about 10 years.
Well, our generation especially, because we didn't have access as easily to new stuff as we did back then. So like a lot of us would just watch old shit to begin with.
And I'm not, this isn't a blanket statement. I know that like me and a lot of other people in my particular circle, like love like 80s and 70s, like mecha. Like we do go back because we're interested in the whole genre. But a lot of the people who are very surface level on this stuff, they went back as far as Ava, and then they didn't want to go back any farther. And it's just like, no, like Ava is just a love letter to the shit that Anno grew up with. And again, like it was mentioned by someone else here, like, and he's like working through some frustrations about like his own life and about where things are going in like the anime industry and all this like other little things with that. But it is still ultimately one of those. I'm not saying this to get someone else to like, chime in and be like, I don't think so. But like personally, I love Evangelion. I think it has a lot to say, and it is very good that it impacts people and it makes people think about things. But there's doing that, and then there's letting your insecurity show, and then like putting intent where it wasn't.
I'd like to close out this question by adding the answer to this question by adding, there's also something to be said about people identifying things as deconstructions and not understanding that it's not a deconstruction, but then also not acknowledging that your quote unquote deconstruction is something that is then replicated in that genre moving forward, which I think is something that people don't really like understand, that if the deconstruction of the genre becomes the popular thing to do in the genre, then it stops being a deconstruction of the genre and just becomes the genre. Yeah. Because genres are not necessarily static. So like if somebody has a particular criticism about the genre they're in and they put that in their show that's in that genre, but then other people that see that think that's cool or agree with that and start putting it in their stuff, and they start molding maybe a character or a plot device or like a setting into that sort of deconstructed example over and over and over again, then it's no longer a deconstruction. Now that is part of the genre. That is just part of that thing. You are no longer providing critical analysis because now everybody's doing that. So now, so deconstruction also sort of like inherently requires you to challenge the norms. And if you are doing what everyone else is doing in the genre, as far as like deconstructing it goes, you are just doing the norm. You are no longer deconstructing the genre. So like, I think using that term is very
reductive. Sorry.
Yes, it is. It's very reductive, but it's also very redundant, but also sometimes it's kind of like not at all what's going on, right? Because like, yes. I think you just like, you got to be careful not to confuse, something that sticks out with something that's having a critical take on something. Last episode, I talked about 100 Line, where like, I don't think that's a deconstruction. I think that's just them finding a very fun way to do the thing in the genre they're in. I don't think that's a deconstruction.
Love letter. That is like straight up not a deconstruction. If you play that and are familiar with VNs, you will know that there are like so many different flavors of VN that they are like showing appreciation and love for.
Yeah.
Like it,
and they might have criticisms in that game of the genre, but that is not in and of itself is a deconstruction. Deconstructions are way more comprehensive. There's way more work put into that. Usually if something is a deconstruction, it's a deconstruction of some specific thing in the genre that it's in, and the entire thing is about that one specific deconstruction of the thing. That's when you know for sure. And that's like very rare, as we said earlier. Like it's just not common, and people shouldn't throw that word around all the time, because like it's just not it's not accurate to say, and then also it just does not create productive conversation because nobody knows what you mean when you say it's a deconstruction. Like it just sounds like hot air, or it really does just sound like you're trying to be smart, and like, yeah, you got to back it up with examples and evidence and then show me what you mean by deconstruction, which means you should just probably not use that word and just tell me what you think of the fucking thing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
tell me what you think about the themes. What did it make you feel? What did it make you like?
What did you think on after it?
Yeah,
did it inspire you to like, I don't know, try to understand something better? Like,
yeah.
Did it make you want to go make something? Did it make you want to like think? Did it make you like?
Did it make you want to look up Rule 34? Like,
oh my God. Okay. Anyways, next question.
Make your pee-pee hard?
Next question. What's the next question you see?
Cullen? No, go ahead, Cullen.
I'm the question guy.
Okay.
Question for Kazuma from our buddy Matt. What are your top 5 Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails music soundtracks for movie films?
Okay, so
I like music soundtracks for movie films. I think that line that wording goes hard.
Okay, so the first one is number 1 is Gone Girl. Number 2 is Gone Girl. Number 3 is Gone Girl. Number 4 is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And number 5 is The Social Network. That's basically it. Like, I think they do a lot of really good stuff. Like, their stuff for Book of Eli was like fine. I think The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Trent Reznor's version of the Immigrant Song with Karen O is really, really good. It actually inspired Crimson Cloud and Devil May Cry 5.
Ooh.
But like, I mean, I'm just fucking pissed off that they're doing the soundtrack for Tron Ares, and that's like going to be the newest album from Nine Inch Nails going to be attached to a shitty Tron movie with Jared Leto in it.
Number 6 is Lost Highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Trent Reznor did that one for real.
Yep. Produced
he
it.
did?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He produced it.
Wow. Okay. Never mind. Scratch The Social Network and put in Lost Highway.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Next question.
All right. Attention burnouts.
Yes.
What is your favorite experience of the first half of 2025? It can be an IRL event, a video game, a show, a movie. I'm going to say, because I'm terrible at picking just one thing, I'm going to give a IRL event, a game, and a movie. MagFest was great. Trails Through Daybreak made me like Trails again. Well, okay, Reverie did, but like Daybreak was like we're so back. And movie, fucking Tenchi Forever, movie of all time, best movie ever made. GC, you go.
My favorite in real life event, probably also MagFest. Video game Blueprints, show Tenchi Universe, and movie. Let's go ahead and say I'm not gonna have a movie. Fuck it. Maybe the first Tenchi movie. Actually, the second Tenchi movie could be there too. Like I like that movie.
Cullen wins. Cause I'm gonna send you a post that this will only work for us being funny right now because we were talking about Lynch, and the audience will just have to hear your reaction because I love doing these bits, and we're gonna wait for the reaction. All right, now, audience, you're gonna think of the funniest thing I could have possibly said ever, and then you're gonna imagine that, and you're like, "Wow, Colin's so funny. He made me laugh too."
So my favorite. What's your best? What is it? Oh, mine is seeing my boyfriend in person and going to the nature park with him and feeding deer apple slices. Yeah. So basically, Germany has like their own like Nara. It's just a nature park where they let like deer like free roam around an area, and they really, really, really like apple slices, and they will come to you for apple slices like little baby deer.
I do this.
Yeah. Me holding out an apple slice. Oh my god, it's that meme of the "you're safe now, child." Yeah. Me with Cullen. But favorite movie this year is The New World, because I really liked it and I've been wanting to see it since like for 20 years or whatever. TV shows, I haven't really watched any TV shows this year, so
okay.
Nothing.
I don't think there's been any good shows.
So I'll just say the entirety of the MCU is just one really long TV show, and I don't think I'm enjoying it. But I'm watching it.
Certainly a thing.
Yes.
Moving on.
That just happened. The show.
Yeah, literally.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
At least Paul Rudd is there.
From Bram. Burnout Brothers. Which Looney Tunes character captures your spirit?
Daffy Duck.
The Roadrunner.
I've never watched the Looney Tunes.
That's perfect.
How could you say that?
I've only seen Space Jam, and that's it, and I don't remember it.
Fuck it, I'm assigning you Elmer Fudd.
What?
Yeah, you know
okay.
No,
fair.
Porky Pig. Porky Pig.
Porky Pig. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take whatever I'm given.
I'm gonna shorten this next question.
Cullen's Bugs Bunny. Don't let him fucking lie to you with his Roadrunner nonsense.
I am the Roadrunner.
When Cullen and I hang out, it's Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, but like in our own spaces, it's Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny. 100%.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
Yeah, what's up, Jack?
Okay, so Speedwagon asks, Burnouts, what's your favorite stand as seen in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? There's a lot of extra stuff here. Like, for example, thinking GC is a highway star kind of guy.
I have no idea which one
GC,
that is.
have you seen like JoJo?
Yeah, up to the end of part 4. I started part 5, but then it was weekly and I dropped it because it's weekly.
Okay, I got to I've gotten to 8. I have a really boring answer though, and I think mine's just Crazy Diamond. I think the ability to like revert restore something is really cool, and the fact that it doesn't work on him is like a very it's a simple thing. And it's the main character stand, but like there are clear rules to how Crazy Diamond works.
Yes.
And it just like...
And it's consistent too.
Yep. And it's not like Giorno where he just does some crazy shit and it's just like, this is just how my stand works. And just like, I fucking hate your power, Giorno.
I can't wait to
fucking
watch
post. That's like, we're gonna turn all these cars into frogs and they'll never find us. And it's like, I fucking hate your power, Giorno.
My favorite stand is going to be a toss-up because I also like Crazy Diamond, but I can't pick Crazy Diamond because you picked Crazy Diamond. I do like Rohan Kishibe's stand. I forget its name, but it's only because his power. Rohan Kishibe is often considered a self-insert for Araki in his own work. Like that's basically he put himself in his show, in his book or whatever. And his stand's power is literally the author's power. So I like that. I like that it's like my power is that I can rewrite characters. Like I retcon things about people in their own brain to a point where it becomes true for them. That's great. I love that kind of little like meta thing. It's fun. Very, very fun.
I don't watch anime and I don't know JoJo's, so
Fair enough.
Yeah.
what was that
I'll leave
meme? I've never watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I'm like,
Blows everyone
yeah.
away. But yeah, I'll leave that question off with Jotro's overrated and part 3's eh. All right, moving on.
Liar.
Wait, no,
On,
GC. If I had
incorrect.
a stand, what would you assign me?
Let's see. Cullen can help with this too.
Hmm.
If you had a stand, which one, an existing one, which would it be? Let's see.
There's so many. That's the problem.
I think you would be the zipper guy.
Who the fuck is the zipper guy?
There's a guy whose stand power is
No, I
like he
think-
can make zippers everywhere.
I think Kaz would be the revolver stand from that same part, but hates the number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's the fucking death number. What do you want from me?
See, yep, we got it.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. You got it. You're done.
Yep.
Okay.
What's that guy's name?
Huh?
It's like Mista or something, right?
I guess. I haven't
What's the
I haven't
stand?
watched part 5, so.
Anyway. The
last one.
We have one more. Java says, in a new world, all form of identification are abolished except one. What Sanrio character do you most closely align with?
I know if I'm thinking really hard, the one I align the most with is probably going to be Batsumaru. Because he's a little troublemaker, but he's also kind of lazy, but he's also kind of like a shithead. And that's kind of like all of the things about me in one.
All I
Yeah.
know is big challenges.
I can actually probably assign you one. It's not hard.
Cool.
You would probably be Kuromi
Interesting.
because you're a little tsundere. So,
Mm-hmm.
but Kuromi's not
Sure.
tsundere, just to be clear. She's just, she doesn't, she's all about cool shit. And she's like really into like cool shit. But like on the inside, she's just a very like wholesome, cute, just adorable person. And that's you. And Kazuma would be My Melody because My Melody never stops working.
Oh my god, Jake will love that you said that because he's okay. So here's the thing: I'm gonna explain something to you guys about our relationship right now. Okay, and this is gonna be everyone that listens to this can understand this.
Intimate
In our
moment.
apartment in Germany, it is divided in half. Right, there's his side and my side based on decoration tastes. My side of the apartment is painted in forest green with dark wood accents and like a foam trim we painted to look like fake wood that has gold gold leaf on it, right? That
Ooh.
we did by ourselves, and we have this beautiful like fake window that's made out of like old like basically like reclaimed wood and vintage plates and like posters from like Hong Kong on the wall. And then on his side is Sanrio Pompurin, My Melody and Kuromi. He got me a headband, a Kuromi headband, because he said she's a baby bitch just like me. So he also associates me with My Melody, so he's gonna love this.
Yeah.
He's gonna
Yeah.
fucking love this. GC, you know me, or you at least know what my boyfriend thinks I thinks I am. So congratulations.
There you go. Super easy.
And that's our
That's
our
our
podcast.
podcast. We did
That's-
it.
That
Good
is the
job.
end of a
Wow.
podcast.
Checks
Oh
in
my
the
God.
mail. Bonuses will be delivered at the end of the month. Just another reminder, your word count in the podcast does not grant you more money, and don't talk to each other about how much you get paid.
Cool. That works for me.
I don't.
If I
get
hear
any-
you're unionizing,
I get paid in
No.
gum.
What?
If I find out
At
there's
least
a
you get fucking
union.
paid, man.
I have really good breath now.
All right,
Although I
we
swallow all
need
the
to.
gum, so I've actually spent a lot of money at the hospital. I am
Yeah,
losing money
it's lining
actively
your
on this.
stomach.
Yeah, I have a stomach of gum now.
I knew a guy that swallowed so much gum, his stomach acids went base.
It's me. My stomach acids are so based.
They stopped digesting food. Anyway.
Anyways, yeah, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. You know where to find us, and if you don't, I don't know how you found us, but welcome.
Keep
and
finding.
Keep watching.
Yeah, and thank you for listening to the end, because we're a trio of mostly insufferable people. All right,
Yes.
see you next time. Bye bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.